device sparked to life. The portal roared open. The desert outside his window shimmered. A massive waterfall appeared, cascading down ancient rock. Hovering crafts zipped around it, scanning every detail. "What the hell?" he muttered, stepping back from the machine. His workshop buzzed with energy. Tools clattered to the floor. The glow of the device pulsed like a heartbeat. "Okay," he said, adjusting a knob. "Let's try again. Smaller changes." The water surged, islands flooded. Waves crashed over rooftops, leaving only their peaks visible. "Still too much," he growled, twisting another dial. "This thing doesn't listen." The faint whine of a cooling fan sputtered behind him. A stack of old blueprints toppled as the floor vibrated beneath his boots. "Why is it always water?" he muttered, scanning the glowing symbols on the device. A green park stretched out. Futuristic machines scattered among the grass, quietly assembling sleek structures. He exhaled slowly. Finally, something that makes sense. The workshop rattled again, and he glanced at the old monitor in the corner. It flickered with static. Then alien symbols appeared briefly. "You're trying to tell me something," he said, leaning toward the screen. Snow fell thick and silent, but it wasn't right. It looked like ash, coating a city frozen in time. "This is wrong," he said, squinting out the window. "Why does this feel familiar?" A wrench clattered to the floor, startling him. He turned back to the machine. A soft hum grew louder as another portal began to form. "Are you alive?" he whispered to the device. The lake stretched endlessly, its surface like glass. Jagged mountains pierced the water, surrounded by a dense, unearthly mist. "Is this another piece of the puzzle?" he asked aloud. He wiped sweat from his brow, glancing at the mess of wires he'd spliced together. Sparks flickered faintly. "I need to stabilize this thing before it blows the whole workshop apart." A baseball game appeared, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd. He blinked, confused. "What? Why? Why this?" Behind him, the machine clicked, its glow pulsing erratically. He grabbed the nearest wrench, muttering, "Focus. I need to figure out how to control this." A barren wasteland stretched out, with massive ships hovering in the distance, drilling into the earth. "They're extracting something," he said, staring at the distant silhouettes. "But what's left in a place like this?" The hum of the machine grew sharper, and a new symbol glowed faintly on its surface. Are these warnings? Messages? What am I missing? Glowing pyramids rose from the ground, their surfaces lined with alien circuitry, pulsating with energy. "Someone built these," he said quietly. "They weren't meant to be forgotten." The lights in the workshop dimmed briefly as the device drew more power. He cursed under his breath, twisting a knob to stabilize it. "You're showing me things, but why?" A city unfolded, machines and glowing wires running like veins through its buildings, powering everything in sight. "This place," he muttered, "it's alive." He tightened a loose connection on the device. A faint hum filled the workshop, steady but ominous. "It's like you're searching for something," he said. "But what?" The grass and calm returned, but this time flying toy drones zipped through the air, battling each other in a chaotic dance. "Okay, now you're just messing with me," he muttered, half laughing. He leaned closer to the device. Another symbol flashed briefly before disappearing. "You've got a plan," he said, narrowing his eyes. "I just need to figure out what it is." The portal opened again. The roar was deafening. Outside, motorcycles zipped through the sky, their riders weaving between invisible paths high above the ground. "Flying motorcycles now," he said, half laughing, half bewildered. "What is the connection here?" He wiped his hands on his jumpsuit and leaned over the machine. The symbols on its surface shifted again, this time forming a pattern. He frowned. "Wait. These aren't random anymore. This is coordinates?" The portal shimmered violently, and the workshop rattled. Skyscrapers loomed in the distance, their glowing cores pulsing with energy. The entire city seemed to draw power from them, connected like a living circuit. It's all about energy, he whispered. Every jump, water machines, power sources, they're all pieces of a network. The glow of the device intensified and the humming grew deeper. He adjusted the controls, his hands trembling. Who built this? What are they powering? The scene shifted to a tranquil meadow. A group of people sat on a picnic blanket, laughing and enjoying the sun. But their joy faded. They all turned suddenly, their expressions darkening as they stared toward the portal. "They can see me," he muttered. "But how? I'm not there." A loud clatter snapped him back to the workshop. His old monitor flickered again, showing alien symbols arranged into what looked like a map. His voice was barely a whisper. "It's not just worlds, it's timelines. They're all connected." The world outside blurred, replaced by piles of old technology. Ancient phones and computers, glowing faintly, were stacked in heaps, their screens flickering. "Why show me this?" he said, staring at the junk. He turned back to the device, inspecting its circuits. Suddenly, one of the glowing symbols dimmed. "No," he muttered, grabbing a spanner. "You need all of them to function. It's not just showing me, it's feeding on these places." The desert returned, but this time it was alive with activity. Robots moved across the sand, tirelessly constructing something from the barren landscape. "They're rebuilding," he said, leaning closer to the window, turning nothing into something, but for what? The glow on the machine pulsed faster. He ran his fingers over the symbols, noticing a faint vibration beneath the surface. "It's reacting to me now," he said, narrowing his eyes. "It's learning." The portal shimmered again. Outside, a bizarre game board appeared, a hybrid of chess and checkers, with glowing pieces that shifted positions on their own. "It's a game," he muttered. "But it's not for fun, it's strategy, control. Whoever built this wanted to teach something." The hum of the machine grew sharper. The monitor flickered again, showing a larger section of the map. "This is it," he whispered. "This is what it's all been leading to. The device isn't broken, it's assembling the pieces." He stared at the symbols, realizing they were pointing to something much bigger. "This machine isn't just showing me other worlds," he said, stepping back. "It's building a path between them." The portal flickered. He tightened his grip on the controls. "I have to see where this ends." The portal roared, blindingly bright. A figure appeared, shimmering as though caught in static. A woman, moving gracefully, carried glowing containers from one side of the portal to another. Her hands moved with precision, sorting materials as if following a method he couldn't understand. He stepped closer, but she didn't react. Her gaze remained fixed on her task, completely unaware of him. "What are you doing?" he muttered, more to himself than her. Her movements quickened as the portal flickered, and then she was gone. The silence in the workshop was deafening. The machine hummed again, pulling reality into focus. A new figure emerged. Beauty. Her blue skin luminous, her long white hair flowing as though moved by an unseen breeze. She bent over glowing gems and rocks, her delicate hands sorting them into neat piles. He froze, his breath catching. She felt familiar, though he couldn't place why. The symbols on the device pulsed faintly, reflecting her rhythm as she worked. He reached out instinctively, but she vanished before his fingers could touch the air. The portal dimmed and he stared at the machine, heart pounding. "Who are you?" he whispered into the empty room. The faint hum of the device answered, steady and unreadable. It wasn't just showing him worlds. It was showing him possibilities, fragments of a life not yet lived, as if she was actually in his room. He felt like he knew her. The mechanic sighed, his fingers brushing the edge of the machine. "I'll find you," he muttered, more to himself than to anyone, or anything. The workshop fell silent, but the puzzle was far from solved. The mechanic stared at the portal as the pieces fell into place. The waterfall, life in the barren, the flooded islands, balance amid chaos, the green park, harmony between nature and progress, the ash-covered city, lessons from loss. The glowing pyramids, unlocking ancient power. The technocratic city, connection and energy. The chessboard, strategy and choices. And the women, glimpses of something or someone leading him forward. They weren't random, he muttered. They're signs of where I need to go, and she'll be there. The machine hummed, its symbols glowing softly. He tightened his grip on the controls. Show me the next step, he said. The portal jump initiated.